Pickup trucks are big, expensive, and inefficient, right? Well, Hyundai Santa Cruz says not so fast. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, back with another one-week test drive. This week's victim is the 2024 Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's a compact truck aimed squarely at the Ford Maverick. It comes in either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, offers a turbocharged engine, and the practicality of a truck with the comfort and ease of a car. It starts at about $28,000 for a base front-wheel drive version and goes all the way up to $43,000 for the fully loaded all-wheel drive model you see here. So does this have what it takes to make it a viable alternative to the Ford Maverick? Let's go spend a week with one and find out. All right, let's take a look at the exterior of this Santa Cruz. We'll start at the front, and you'll probably notice it looks very similar to Hyundai's Tucson compact crossover, which in my mind is not a bad thing. I think this is a pretty good looking truck. I like how right here, these are the LED daytime running lights, and they're integrated into the grille. So when the truck is off, it all just sort of blends in. I think that's a cool trick. And then down here, those are your headlights. But overall, pretty sleek looking truck. As I mentioned, we're in a fully loaded limited version. So we've got 20-inch alloy wheels. Those are pretty cool. Move along the side. In terms of dimensions, about 4 inches shorter overall than the Ford Maverick. It's also lower and wider. So sort of a sportier truck, whereas the Maverick's sort of a traditional proportions. Over here at the back, you've got a nice side step there into the bumper. There's one on the other side too. Sort of adds to the practicality. We'll open up the bed here. The bed itself, 4.3 feet. Just a little bit shorter than the Ford Maverick, which is 4.5 feet long. But there's some really nice features built in here that add to the practicality. So we're gonna move that out of the way. So under here, a little hidden handle, that opens up. Extra storage down here. You can see the truck's been pretty dirty, but this is nice. Keeps it out of the way. You've got a drain plug here, so you can put muddy or dirty stuff down there and not worry about it. That's cool. So that's built into the bottom of the floor there. You also have a little cubby here, and inside that, nice little outlet. Plug in all your household items. So that's pretty cool. And then over on this side, another cubby. There's no outlet inside there though. You've also got some interior lighting for the bed, and then some tie-down hooks that are adjustable. So a lot of practicality built in here. And then, you're probably noticing, you've got this tonneau cover. So you can pull this, cover everything up, latch it closed, and it's nice and secure. I was on the freeway over the weekend, had a bunch of stuff back there. Cover was closed, so you don't have to worry about anything blowing out. It also keeps it out of people's sight. So in case you have stuff you want to, out of sight, out of mind, right? So what do you guys think? Do you like the looks of this Santa Cruz? Do you think it's a truck enough for you? Or do you prefer something like the Ford Maverick? Let me know in the comments below. I've heard all kinds of opinions about this truck. People either seem to love it or hate it. So I want to know what you guys think. All right, let's see what's under that hood. All right, so there are two different engines available on the Santa Cruz. The base SE and the SEL get a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder engine that makes 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque. It comes standard with front-wheel drive, while all-wheel drive is a $1,500 option. It also comes standard with an 8-speed automatic transmission. The rest of the lineup, including the limited version that we're testing today, gets a more powerful engine. It's a turbocharged 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine that makes 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. It comes standard with all-wheel drive and an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. All right, let's take a look at the interior of the Santa Cruz. As I mentioned, we're in a fully loaded limited trim. So some of the things you see here will not be standard on all trims. That includes heated and cooled leather seats. Got the buttons down here. We also have a heated steering wheel, as you can see. And then higher end trims, including this one, get the larger screen you see here. This is a 10.25 inch display. Has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it's not wireless. You have to plug it in, and not only do you have to plug it in, but it's the old school plug here. This is 2024. It's a little frustrating that that's the setup. But what's sort of most silly about this is that the base model that has a smaller screen here, it has an 8-inch screen here, that base model on the Santa Cruz does have wireless CarPlay. So it's weird that the base model would get it and not this higher trim. So that's a little frustrating. I also don't love some of the menus in here. They can be kind of counterintuitive every now and then. And then if you've seen our videos before, you know I just hate touching and tapping all the time, right? Just give me a knob for the volume, for the tuning, and then also for the climate control. It does get frustrating just to have to sort of randomly tap this. It's harder to do when you're just driving around without taking your eyes off the road. So overall, some frustrations, but generally the screens are bright and the response is pretty quick to your input. That's nice. You also have wireless smartphone charging down there. That's handy. And then we've got a moonroof on our fully loaded version. The seats themselves, pretty comfortable. I like them. Nice bolstering. Overall, the cabin itself, very quiet, very comfortable, good for long trips. And then you can see we've got a digital display there. So overall, not a bad interior, but definitely some things that a little bit of a head scratcher, right? All right, let's go see the rear seats. All right, now to rear seat space. And if you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seat to where I would have it if I'm sitting up there. I'm 6'1", so basically I'm sitting behind myself. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed. I know the Santa Cruz is not a big truck, but inside, plenty of space for 4 adults to sit comfortably. I've got more than enough room for my legs, my feet. Headroom is great, so that's pretty impressive. I also have to say the seats themselves are quite comfortable. Sometimes the back seats aren't nearly as good as the front seats, not so in this Santa Cruz, so that's really impressive. The only nitpick I have back here, and this is really small, is that there's no center armrest that folds down, but otherwise, yeah, this is a nice place to spend some time. Next up, driving impressions. And as I mentioned before, the version we're testing right here has the more powerful turbo engine, 281 horsepower. That's actually quite a lot. This is not a big truck. It's not a heavy truck. So you really do have plenty of power in any situation you find yourself in. I also like the way the transmission is tuned. It works really well with this turbo engine to give you kind of a sporty and also refined driving experience. It's not very loud. The engine sounds good. It feels good. So overall, if you can stomach the extra cost of this turbo, it's about $8,000 more, and there are other features you get for that money. If you can stomach that extra cost, I definitely think it's worth it. Now, the only caveat to me recommending the turbo in the Santa Cruz is the fact that there's the Ford Maverick at all. The Ford Maverick comes standard with its turbocharged engine. It makes 250 horsepower, and that model for a front-wheel drive version starts at about $25,400. So it is considerably less expensive than a turbo Santa Cruz. Now, the Santa Cruz is more refined. You get many more features. It's a better driving experience overall, but if you're looking at just dollar for dollar, turbo versus turbo, the Ford absolutely has the Santa Cruz beat in terms of value. One more thing I like about this more powerful engine in the Santa Cruz is that it's rated to tow 5,000 pounds. That's a pretty good amount, especially for the size of this vehicle. That's a couple of jet skis or maybe a smaller boat, and that's the same amount that the Honda Ridgeline can tow. That's a larger truck, and that has a V6. So kudos to Hyundai for what they're able to pull off in this Santa Cruz. Otherwise, the rest of the driving experience is really pretty good. This feels like a sporty car. The steering is good, the brakes are good, the suspension is sort of on the firm side, but that's a good thing. It's on the sort of sportier, firm side. So it all adds up with the addition of the power from the turbo to a really engaging driving experience, and I've really enjoyed that. All right, folks, there you have it, our 1-week test drive of the 2024 Hyundai Santa Cruz. Overall, we've really enjoyed this truck. We think it's a great alternative to the Ford Maverick. The Maverick is cheaper and it's more truck-like in its execution, but this has a nice dash of refinement like a small crossover with a little bit of extra practicality layered on top. We do wish the turbo versions of the Santa Cruz were a little bit cheaper, considering you can get a larger Honda Ridgeline truck for about the same money. But otherwise, we think this is a really cool, unique, and sporty alternative to some of the larger, thirstier, and more expensive trucks on the market. So for reviews or listings of this Hyundai or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out AWDlist.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.